Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Right, so I figured I'd do a therapy session. Nothing major going on in the world of BDF. Made a nice playlist today. Uh, Felt really good about everything that I was doing, working out, all the good stuff. Just a nice little normal day for me. Um, Figured I'd just say hello to everybody since I hadn't really tapped in on my channel. I realized that the Lakers played the Pistons yesterday, and of course I had done the video for the halftime and the after game thing. And when I looked up this morning after listening to the video a bunch of times last night and then this morning as well, I realized that something went wrong with the YouTube and it didn't upload, or at least that's what it was telling me. So I don't know how that happened. It should not have happened. There was no reason for it. To be completely honest with you, there was no logical reason for that. It had more than enough time to upload both of those videos. So something just went terribly wrong, and I can't seem to tell you what it was. But I ain't gonna do the videos over again, so we're just gonna pretend that I forgot to do it when I actually literally sat here for 40 minutes, made a video for that game, and then had another 10-minute video, of course, I said for the halftime, where I sat down and talked about everything I always do. So yeah, for those who were wondering why wasn't I there, I was. YouTube did some bullcrap. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, so yeah, I have something for you guys for every other game anyway. And consistency is something that I try to keep. So when things like this happen, I don't know what to say. Just got screwed over. So yeah, for those who were wondering, that's that. Yeah, man, I don't really know, man. I was listening to what people were saying in regards to Kyrie Irving donating money to people, man. And one of the gentlemen who lost their life in that terrible shooting where 3 football players lost their lives in a van where one player decided to just turn his gun on others. Well, Kyrie was able to help and support them, as well as the young lady who lost her life in Mexico, Shaquilla Robinson, I believe is her name. He was able to donate some money to her. So, this is the type of stuff that we, the people, can identify and say that better defines the energy that Kyrie Irving is trying to convey than how the media is describing the energy that he's conveying. I think actions speak louder than words, and he hasn't said a whole lot of words at all, but his actions are showing us that he's complying with what it is that the Nets have asked him to do and everybody else, and he's breaking bread while people are trying to take money from him. So just have the kindness of his heart. And so I'm rooting for Kyrie Irving to succeed in the NBA, and even more so just succeed in what it is he's trying to do and accomplish outside of basketball. A lot of people try to smear your image and your name when they don't understand what it is you're doing, or they don't quite respect what it is you're doing. I think the name of the game for the conversation at hand, though, is context. It's context. It's knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt everything there is to understand about this particular subject. Because when I listen to people who are lacking context in this conversation, they sound logical, but they're just lacking a perspective that would otherwise make certain things make sense to them, that maybe appear to make sense, but not quite. And that's ultimately what I see in this Kyrie Irving conversation. I was listening to Shannon Sharp, and his whole point of view spoke to a comparison. Like, you can't look at 20 million people and say all of your people are bad. Or all of your people have lied, or all of your people have this, or all of your people have that. And that is absolutely true, and I agree with that. But the context of the situation provides you an understanding that what Kyrie is bringing to the table does, in fact, unearth some truths that have long been suppressed. So it does raise the question of who knew and who doesn't, in a way that otherwise would not have otherwise even applied. When you consider what Shannon's talking about, of course what he's saying should apply to every situation, until it doesn't. And you never find that out until the context provides itself the unique circumstance for which it just simply may not apply. And you never know what requires context until it's too late, until you realize you didn't have it. It's like, well, that does happen to be one of those rare scenarios where you could maybe say that this could go a different way this particular time. Not to say that I would ever blame everybody for anything, because my point of view on that is just people have been lied to, not necessarily that everybody's lying. But nevertheless, this particular situation does have it in place for us to wonder, rather than to be certain of anything. Having been out of the conversations at hand, so or outside of the know, however that goes. So I'm listening to the conversation that is being had. It is going exactly the way I thought it would. It really is. People are starting to wonder who's behind the curtain, so to speak. People are starting to wonder why certain words are defined a certain way, and certain, groups are considered to be protected, while other groups are considered to be okay to exploit. And it's just getting to a point where it's like, wow, we've really been living in this hypocrisy all this time without actually seeing it. It's almost like the R. Kelly, entirety. When you consider what R. Kelly's truth was, and everybody seemed to know it, but not really see it the way that we ended up seeing it, as it was more so a prevalent conversation. I really look at that dynamic with R. Kelly and still look at that as almost like a trance. It's like we were all in a trance. Everybody was very much aware of his transgressions. It was not a secret. It wasn't hearsay. It was video footage. It was multiple stories, but it was like people would still wait for his next hit to come out. I think about when some of his favorite songs, some of his best music came out, I already knew of his transgressions. And we just sat there and nodded our head like, it's a remix to Ignition. Like, we didn't realize it was egregious until someone made us see the hypocrisy in that over time. When they finally came out with the R. Kelly series 1, series 2 series, it's like, wow, yeah, we were really sitting here very much aware that this man had done these things, and nothing. And so I look at situations like that and I see it's almost like the same kind of deal. It's like we just kind of sit here and we know this is going on. We know it's not right, but in our minds, it's like, well, it's always been this way. So our parents kind of got along living this way. They just adhered to it, And then I listen to people on both sides. It's like they expect to be coddled, in a situation as it pertains to this particular conversation. It's like I was listening to a gentleman. I don't remember his name, but he was a rabbi, and he was getting on a particular platform. I think it was viral hip hop news. And he was getting up there talking to those guys on their platform. He was essentially saying, we've been through too much trauma. We will not tolerate it anymore. And I was thinking, man, if black people were to take that stance, the type of energy we would be met with. Like, they can take that stance and then, with the power that they have, enforce that. Like, we will not tolerate our trauma. We will come down on anybody. It's like, with all due respect, good friends, we didn't do this to you. Why are you coming down on us like we the ones that did it? You know what I'm saying? Like, we the ones that caused you the trauma. And then we look at the history and we say, well, damn, I know this is disrespectful for me to say, but let's just snap out of that very, very strange R. Kelly-like trance we're in and tell the truth about the fact that you did, in fact, usher us our trauma. Like, that's what the history is showing us, that you very much had all to do with why our lives suck so bad in this country. So we can, in fact, look at you and blame you for our trauma. And see, that's something that I'm not supposed to say. It's like, that's disrespectful. How dare you? Like, oh my God, how dare you? But it's like, no, like, the evidence is actually showing us that. We have, in fact, been in a trance as to which I'm disrespectful for pointing out something that actually took place. And people are used to pointing at me as if I caused a trauma to a people of whose trauma I did not cause. The first thing they want to say is, you're the anti-this, anti-that. I didn't do that to them. So why am I getting a harsh penalty as if I was the guys? As if I was the one that did what they did. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, that's not right. Somebody else did something to them, and now they've turned their attention to us. It's almost like you don't want to beat up on a bully that beat you up. You just want to beat up on a little guy who you can actually beat up on. Like, that's essentially the energy I'm getting from the situation. You know what I mean? So it's like, as a black person, I want to wake up out of all these weird trances where we're not allowed to say the truth about what it is that happened to us, and we're not allowed to speak up on things that we're finding. We're not allowed to take a stance on our positioning with the context understood that we've been wronged, and like we're supposed to just sit back and just work around that so as to not offend those who may or may not have actually wronged us themselves. It's like, man, enough of this. R. Kelly was a sicko from the jump. This is backwards as it gets, and it's time to start snapping out of these trances, straight up and down. I'm glad guys like Kanye and Kyrie are doing what it is that they're doing to help these conversations along. Now I'm seeing Jason Whitlock, the change that this dude has made. I just mentioned him on my channel probably less than 24 hours ago. I don't think it was that long ago. And I just said that the kind of stances he was taking back in the day, they kicked him off the net and, off of the major platforms, and you just never see him again after him taking some very anti-black positions consistently. And then I found him on YouTube. I guess it was because I mentioned him. You know how that goes. The algorithm popped him up. And sure enough, he's on a different page right now. The wave that he's on right now is like somebody who went through hell with them and now is on a mission to get them back for kicking them off TV. So he's exposing all of them. He's a number one truth teller. He out here riding for Kyrie and Kanye and talking about all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, so that's what Jason Whitlock's been on. He's been on some, I'm going to get back at those who didn't keep me around for holding them down. Because he was definitely the number one, Uncle Ruckus guy on television. He's the number one. There was nobody more Uncle Ruckus than him. And I used to wonder, I was like, is that really him? And I even said that in the video very recently. Is that really him, or was that just the persona that they forced him to have? And it's like, I look at a guy like Stephen A. Smith, and I joked about how I'm looking forward to Stephen A. Smith not being with ESPN no more so he can introduce himself to his people. Because we don't know who this is as long as he's talking from behind that paywall. And this is what I was talking about. Now that I see how Jason Whitlock is really giving it up outside of the contracts and the paywall, it's like, dude, the first thing one of them dudes did when they got from behind that thing was expose all them guys. And he was the one that seemed to be the most loyal one. So I'm like, yo, if that's what Jason Whitlock's on these days, that just speaks even further to what it is I've been talking about those people behind the curtain and how they control these voices, and we don't really know these people in front of us. And I personally think that they are positioning a lot of their subordinates, a lot of their talent to be hated. And I don't think the talent really understand that. They be backing these guys into a corner to be hated by their own people, to be hated by the public, so that can bring forth types of ratings. I think they're doing that to a young lady on their channel too, and I've been mentioning it a couple times. Everything they do makes her unlikable. Everything she does is like they're backing her into a corner to make her the most unlikable black woman they can make her. And it's like, I don't think that's just happenstance. I think that is absolutely by design. And I think they do that to a lot of black women. I think they do that in a lot of different ways, and I don't think it is as simple as surface as we want it to look. A lot of times, I don't know. I just look at these things and it's like, they don't accept black people in a lot of situations unless they're absolutely against their own people. And if you empower yourself to be against your own people, they will give you the biggest, loudest platform to speak down on your own people as much as possible. If you commit to that all the way, the louder the platform you'll get. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. That's what I see. And as a result, you will make yourself unlikable, and they will love it. They will absolutely love that about you. So that's the evil of the situation. That's just what happens to a lot of people in this country. I look at Herschel Walker and how he's moving. I don't follow his politics, but I listen to what comes out of his mouth, and I just understand that he's one of those guys where it's like, clearly he's propped up to look bad. Like, he's supposed to look bad. Now, I don't know if it's by design in regards to himself, if he's aware of it or not, if that's what they're trying to do or not. But the point is every time he's up there, I am reminded that this is what they want me to be. This is the black that they can respect. That's the black that they would prefer us. And as long as we're all like Herschel, we're going to be fine in this country. Because they can vibe with us being that way. And it's like, there's room for him, you know what I'm saying? But there should be room for someone like myself as well. There should be room for everybody. And when you let people mold your people, when you allow people to mold your people by propping people up for the specific reason of being unlikable, it definitely does that very thing. It makes you unlikable, and it can create division within your group in regards to that person. And you see it all the time, man. I do believe that there are a lot of times they put black people in front of black people to either hate black people or scold black people or reach black people, and it's just old slave tactics, old psychological tactics that we are tired of being worked against us, tired of having to work around, and want acknowledged buck breaking and stuff like that. I'm so glad Josiah did that, because it put the conversation out there so that we can have it right here on the forefront while everybody's thinking about it. Because these are tactics that have long been used, should have been in your textbooks, in your history books, instead of some of the stuff that you were reading in class. They should have been telling y'all about how exactly this country was built, and what exactly what psychological warfare they waged on black minds to keep us in line and ultimately build this country. Because that's the real history of this country. From the flag, that's black art. The White House, black art. All kinds of stuff that they celebrate are things that we came up with and created ourselves. You know, the soil from which the land and everything. It's like we were out there sweating in the fields. That's our blood, sweat, and tears out here in America. So when I consider how America needs to be fixed and what I want America to be, and whether or not I want to be here and raise my kids here, yes, I want America to change. And I want it to be something I can be proud of for the very first time. And it starts with us addressing those behind the curtain who've long controlled who matters here, as it pertains to how people are treated and who gets what. And that, to me, is where we start. That is exactly where we start. So, yeah, man, praise God. You know, I'm happy that we are in a space where we can look at what Kyrie is doing versus what it is that's being said about him, and then further realize those who are against him are the ones that aren't very good, to say the least. They've shown us in so many different ways that their energy is the opposite of love, quite honestly. So it's all good. You know, it's all good. I want to see Kyrie continue to stay on this path, and then when he gets back on the basketball court, keep doing what he loves to do. You know what I mean? These people can't take from you what they didn't give to you. They may have gave you money, they may have gave you an opportunity to play on that platform, but they didn't give you that ability to play the game. That came from the Most High. Just like I say to Kanye, they may have given you an opportunity to be understood as the great Kanye was, but they didn't put that greatness in Kanye West. Kanye West would have been great sitting in this apartment by himself, coming up with all those different things that he came up with alone. He didn't need none of that stuff, none of those people or anything else. In regards to the promotion and all of that, it wasn't what defined him. It just is what made all of us aware of him. And that awareness was tainted by a filter that is always in front of all art these days. Filtered through the business, filtered through their norms and the systems from which they want to keep people under control. And that is why so much wealth comes to the way of a person like Kanye West. That's why so much wealth comes to the way of a person like Kyrie Irving, because through that fame, they're able to keep control of the people, and that is very valuable to them. That is very valuable to them. Your art isn't as valuable to them. The art is valuable to the people. They don't care about the art. They care about controlling the people. We care about the art, so they control the art, they control the people. So that's what it is, man. We need to remove those people so we can have that relationship with the artist. And then we can really evolve from what art is actually supposed to do for us as people, for what it's supposed to do for our species, more or less. Art ain't supposed to be something that is a tug of war and something that makes life harder for people who are artists. You know, it shouldn't be that difficult. It should be something that you do, and it's something you enjoy your life while doing. And it's like, because of the presence of people who leech off of creative people, you have a world where creative people don't necessarily feel like it's within their benefit to share their creative art, and that's a world that needs to change. I'm listening to people, not even listening to my damn self, talking about how they're not looking for success. We don't want success. I don't want success because it takes my freedom away. The reality is I want to live in a world where that's not a dynamic at all. I accept it. That's my dynamic. I'm already 38 years old, so it's too late for me. But for people who are coming after me, that should not be the dynamic. They should be able to get their bag and then be able to have their freedom and their creative juices to do what it is that they do, and then have their relationship with their fan base that is organic and free of the filter of political norms and psychological subconscious bullcrap that they be trying to push on the people to keep us from basically pointing our energy toward evolving through them, the middleman. So that's just really what I see there, man. God is efficient, though. He's sufficient and efficient, and I'm pretty certain things are in the midst of changing as we speak. So I'm just going to continue to speak with confidence, share with you guys what I do, and we'll see if they'll continue to give me issues in regards to uploading my videos. Maybe that is why the videos didn't upload it. Maybe this is the beginning of them trying to force me into doing things differently. In regards to some of the topics that I speak about, I don't know. I'd imagine that would be coming if they get a whiff of who I am and what I'm talking about. They probably will start messing with me, because that's consistent with how they mess with people who talk the way I speak. But I don't think that that's something that should keep anybody from speaking at this point, because they got about 5 minutes left. That's the reality of the situation. So that's what I got to say. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.